Have you ever looked up the definitions of peace? Adrian spent some time looking at peace today.
Mm.
What did you find?
I found that there was a whole depth of meaning that went back to biblical times that had so much correlation with what we are wishing to present, but that is maybe not what most people understand. Most people understand right at the surface an absence of violence and hostility, or let's say feeling calm, those sort of surfacey things, whereas shalom, it has a great depth of meaning of being in harmony with not only the God force, but life.
You know
And
what we would call that?
enough for all.
Unity,
Hmm.
oneness, connection,
Hmm.
shared humanity,
Hmm.
divinity,
Hmm. Right.
oneness.
Oneness. Tons of different takes on what peace is. So it's worth.
Well, but again, it all really comes down to an emotional dynamic, doesn't it? I mean, how many of you consider the dynamic, especially you old farts, that, oh, nothing but old farts here. Think about back on it. Have you ever really known peace? Oh, you've had moments, but it was a dynamic of. Have you ever really known that dynamic of peace? Have you ever really known that dynamic of abundance and not having worry and all of the other things that go along with it?
The whole, well, from the shalom, it's a whole state of being. It's almost a whole realm.
Well, but and again, can we understand a big enough picture to realize that this has been a natural process of growth? And if you can relate to a dynamic, how many past lives have you had? How many lives in the dynamics of the garden of the child were you able to learn that dynamic of what peace really was? That there was no separation between you and nature. There was no separation between you and spirit. There was that dynamic of that oneness that existed within you, within each other, within the dynamics of nature, of your world, and also of the divine. It was a known situation. Every child, just as a species, grows. Natural that you as individuals move out of childhood and into more responsible dynamics of energy. So that as you moved and grew, yours then grew. And eventually you became an adolescent and you needed to separate from each other, to separate from nature, and even to separate from spirit in order to develop this individual nature of your own. And you have done it. You have moved into, many of you have moved into individuation enough. Now, too few of you have moved into the dynamic of the sacred I am. Because if you I am, you know that there is enough love. You know that there is enough. You know that you are enough. There's a whole dynamic of an altruistic nature that comes along with that dynamic of knowing, that dynamic of peace. There's no reason to compete with each other, to compete with nature, to compete with the divine, because in so many ways that's what we're doing, or in a gender sort of way, to compete with the opposite sex. Again, just as we're talking about a dynamic of sovereignty as a melding, as an understanding, a quantum coming together, a quantum understanding of how the feminine is and the masculine are needed to manifest your dreams and desires. As you begin to realize that dynamic, you begin to lose the bias, the hurt, the whole dynamics of the things that you each hold and that you, as a consensus energy, as held as that sort of dynamic without any discernment. Because so much of the dynamic are based on old judgments, old beliefs about yourselves, old beliefs about your world. And primarily, if you can begin to live, live as enough, then everything around you will begin to change.